Hola estudiantes, Maestra Chelsea here once again, and I'm so excited to have you here with me for part 2 of our video, ¿Qué es Latinoamérica? In this video, we are going to be taking a look at Latin American geography as well as gentilicios. As I mentioned in the previous video, gentilicios are the words we use to describe different nationalities such as Mexican, Mexicano, Cuban, Cubano, etc. Now, a lot of times when I'm back in the United States visiting family, I run into people who have kind of this common misconception that Latin America is one huge monolith and all of the countries are more or less the same, and some people even think everything is more or less Mexico. Don't get me wrong, I love Mexico. Truly adore Mexico. The food, the culture, the people, everything about Mexico, me encanta. However, there is so much more in terms of diversity, culture, ethnicities, language, climates, so much diversity that goes into making up the entire region of Latin America. And so I'm really excited to share all of that with you today, introduce you to geography, and arm you with the vocabulary that you need to be able to talk and ask people where they're from, talk about where you're from, etc. Also, here at Heart of Travel, it's important for us not just to teach you about language, but to also address some of the common myths and misconceptions that we often hear about Latin America. So, the last 15 minutes of this video are going to be an open dialogue between Maestra Chiva and myself, where we kind of get into and bust some of these common myths and misconceptions. If you'd like, you can see a complete time breakdown of the video in the text below. That way, if you'd like to skip ahead or revisit any particular section of this video in the future, you can do so easily. Muy bien, now let's head over to el mapa. Welcome back to clase, estudiantes, con Maestra Chelsea. Hoy vamos a ver geografía y gentilicios before moving on to the second part of this video, where we will be busting some common myths and misconceptions about Latin America. Today, we are going to take a look at geography in Latin America as well as gentilicios. As I've mentioned before, gentilicios are the words we use to refer to someone's nationality, such as Mexican, Cuban, Canadian, Italian, Japanese, Egyptian, etc. You have a fairly complete list of all of the gentilicios for Latin American countries, as well as major countries in different continents of the world, which you can find in your workbook, and you can see the flag as well, and you can kind of start getting used to practicing those different gentilicios and associating them with their geographical location. Muy bien. A quick note before we dive in. In Spanish, there is a gentilicio for people from the United States, which you might remember from our Saludos video. In Spanish, people who are from the United States are referred to as estadounidense. One more time, estadounidense. For example, yo soy estadounidense. I am United Statesian, you could say. And since it ends in the letter E or E, as we say in Espanol, this is a neutral word. So you don't have to think, is it a estadounidense o estadounidense? No. Siempre va a ser estadounidense. So this applies to all people, men, women, and those who identify as gender non-binary. However, the gentilicio americano o americana, or its gender-neutral format, americane, also exists in Spanish. However, the word americano is not reserved solely for people from the United States. Unlike the way in English it's very common to use the term American to refer to people from the United States of America, americano in Spanish refers to anyone from the Americas, which includes all countries in North, Central, and South America and the Caribbean. There are some native Spanish speakers who might use the word americano to refer to people from the United States, but in general, we try to use the specific term estadounidense because in Espanol, todos somos americanos. We are all Americans in Espanol, all of us from Canada, Alaska, the United States, all the way down to the tip of Argentina. So the United States is not referred to as America or America, rather it's called Estados Unidos. Technically, the official name is Los Estados Unidos de América. However, it is often shortened to Estados Unidos or simply Los Estados. I typically say, yo soy de los estados. I am from the states. In fact, I have even started saying I am from the US or I am from the States, or even more specifically, I am from California even when I'm referring to myself in English. I try to avoid the use of America or American to refer to the United States or people from the United States, just so that I don't inadvertently offend any people from other parts of the American continent who find the use of the term America or American exclusively for the United States or for US citizens to be somewhat exclusive. I know a lot of people are used to saying, I'm American or I'm from America. It's completely up to you. I understand that it's a normal way to speak in English. So if you want to try and change it up, I think a lot of your Americano compañeros from other parts of Latin America would appreciate it, but it's a little bit more up for debate in English. However, in Spanish, we ask that you do please use the term estadounidense, which is the correct and most specific term to refer to yourself if you are from the United States, and to refer to the U.S. as a country as Estados Unidos, los Estados Unidos de América, or for short, los estados. Muy bien. Vamos a ver bien en el mapa. We're going to take a look at our map. So let's look at this beautiful map of Latin America that our graphic designer, Laura, has created for us. On the first side here, right up here, we see Mexico, Central America, or what we call América Central o Centroamérica. You can say it either way. Centroamérica. Muy bien. América Central. Muy bien. And see on this part of this map, we also show some of the Caribbean islands. So here we have Mexico, which many of you know as Mexico. Mexico is part of North America. You've probably heard about this a lot, right? Mexico was a large player in NAFTA, or the North American Free Trade Agreement. So a lot of people have this misconception that Mexico isn't part of North America, but it is. So as you can see, Mexico es enorme. It's a huge country. It's beautiful. It's incredibly diverse. Apart from Spanish, they speak over 70 different indigenous languages. The food is diverse, the people, it's an unbelievable place. So repeat after me one more time. Mexico. Muy bien. And the people who live in Mexico are called Mexicanos or Mexicanas. Likewise, if you'd like to use a gender neutral term, you could say Mexicanes. If you're not sure what I'm talking about when I refer to gender neutral and gender inclusive language, you can go back and read about this in the booklet or check out the video that we've included about gender neutral and gender inclusive language in Spanish. Remember, this is something optional. It's a lot to learn a language, so adding in another gender for a lot of people might seem overwhelming and confusing at this time. But we know for a lot of people it might be really important and significant, and we want to make sure that that information is available to you. Excelente. So we're going to go over Mexico one more time, the gentilicios, okay? So I'm going to say the word and you're going to repeat after me. Mexicano. Mexicanos. Mexicana. Mexicanas. And for our gender neutral terms, we have the singular mexicane and the plural mexicanes. Okay, so those are your options. Right under Mexico, we have Guatemala. Guatemala is the most northern country belonging to Central America. So some people include Central America as part of North America. Others treat it as its own region. I believe that it is technically part of the North American continent, but geography is taught differently in different parts of the world, so you may have been introduced to this in a different way. So this isthmus here that connects Mexico to kind of the rest of South America, this whole region is called Central America, Centroamérica, or América Central. And I'm going to list to you the countries that are generally considered to be members of Central America. I'm going to say the name of the country. I will pause so you can repeat. I will say it one more time and then pause so that you can repeat after me. Guatemala. Guatemala. El Salvador. El Salvador. Belize. Belize. Honduras. Honduras. Remember, the H is silent there. That one's always a little tricky for me. So it's not Honduras, it's Honduras. Muy bien. Nicaragua. Nicaragua. Costa Rica. Costa Rica. Panama. Panama. And note that the accent is there on that final A, so it's not Panama, it's Panama. Muy bien. One more time, all of Central America. Guatemala. El Salvador. Belice. Honduras. Nicaragua. Costa Rica. Panamá. Muy bien, excelente. So, en Guatemala viven los guatemaltecos y guatemaltecas. One more time, repeat after me. Guatemalteco. Guatemalteca. Excelente. En El Salvador viven los salvadoreños. ¿Ok? Salvadoreños. And salvadoreñas. Muy bien. I know these ones are a little long. It's going to take some time to practice a bit, but that's okay. Get comfortable taking a deep breath and pronouncing them slowly, each syllable. And I oftentimes find that sometimes when I'm overly thinking it, it can be a little hard. So I like to break the word down, look at it by syllable, say them slowly a couple times just to make sure I really understand like the letter placement. And then after that, try to say the words without thinking about it too much. And let us know. And obviously everybody learns a little bit differently. So if you have a different experience, we'd love to hear about it in our Discord community group. If you have a different tip or trick that seems to make it easier for you. But I know these like long multiple syllable nationalities with different vowels and R's and Ñ's can be a little overwhelming. So no worries. Next up, we have people from Belize. And this one's a little bit easier. Beliceño. Muy bien. And the feminine, beliceña. Excelente. Now let's do our plural. Beliceños. Beliceñas. Excelente. En Honduras viven los hondureños. So repeat after me. Hondureño. Hondureña, hondureños, hondureñas. Muy bien. Nicaragua. Now this one is a little trickier. Nicaragüense. Okay, one more time. Nicaragüense. And then our plural, nicaragüenses. Excelente. Con Costa Rica, we have our costarricenses. One more time. Costarricense. Excelente. Y con Panamá, we have panameño, panameña. One more time. Panameño, panameña, panameños, panameñas. And remember, if we wanted to make that gender neutral, it would be panameñe, panameñes. So instead of using the O or the A, we use an E. As you can see, some words naturally or just traditionally are already written that way in Spanish. And then when words do have a gendered ending of la O or la A, you can make it inclusive or gender neutral by switching that out for an E, which you will also sometimes see represented when written with an X. Okay, so one more time. I'm going to read the name of the country and then I'm going to read the single masculine gentilicio, okay? Guatemala. Guatemalteco. Excelente. Make sure you're repeating after me. El Salvador. Salvadoreño. Belice. Beliceño. Honduras. Hondureño. Nicaragua. Nicaragüense. Costa Rica. Costarricense. Panamá. Panameño. Muy bien. So you might think that all of these countries would be very similar, but there's actually an incredible amount of diversity in Central America in regards to ethnic background, culture, traditions, the way people speak, different indigenous languages that form part of the linguistic scape, landscapes, topography, flora, fauna. There is so much diversity in Central America. So throughout our travels in our Spanish language learning program, you're going to get kind of a glimpse into a lot of these different places, and we're excited to share that diversity with you. Muy bien. To the right, you can see a variety of Caribbean islands. We call this region El Caribe. Again, repeat after me. El Caribe. The Caribbean countries that belong to Latin America are normally considered to be Cuba. Repeat after me. Cuba. Puerto Rico. Y la República Dominicana. One more time. La República Dominicana. Excelente. In this image, you will also see Haiti, which we call in Spanish Haití. And oftentimes Haití is also considered by many to belong to Latin America, as it was a French colony, and that oftentimes falls within the definition. So we also see on our map here Jamaica, or how we pronounce it in Spanish, Jamaica. Now you're going to hear the word Jamaica. Repeat, Jamaica. You're going to hear this word come up because Jamaica is also the name of the hibiscus flower, and it's very common in Mexico and Central America to drink a beverage called Rosa de Jamaica, which is like a hibiscus tea. It's oftentimes brewed and then consumed cold. It's very refreshing. It's a bit sweet. So Rosa de Jamaica, the hibiscus leaf or flower, shares the same name as the Caribbean island Jamaica, or as we call it in English, Jamaica. Muy bien, which technically is not considered part of Latin America, as it was a British colony. Muy bien. And finally, also here on our map, but not normally considered a part of Latin America, but a part of El Caribe, we can see Las Bahamas. Muy bien. So Spanish is not dominantly spoken in Haití, Jamaica, or Las Bahamas. It's also not the dominant or official language in Belize, even though Belize is considered by most to be a part of Central America. So even though these countries may or may not fit the complete requirements of what we consider to be a Latin American country, they still play a part in the history and the culture of the entire Caribbean region, as well as Las Americas in general. Muy bien. Now let's move on to South America, or as we say in Spanish, Sur America. One more time, Sur America, or América del Sur. One more time, América del Sur. Las personas que viven en Sudamérica se llaman sudamericanos o sudamericanas. So the people who live in South America are referred to as sudamericanos. Likewise, for inclusive language, we could say sudamericanes. Muy bien. And so what divides Central and South America is an area called the Darien Gap, right? So if you look at a map, you can see Panama is our last country in Central America, and Colombia is our first country in South America. So the Darien Gap is this marshy, kind of forested area, and it's really the only place from the top of Alaska all the way to the tip of Argentina where the Pan American Highway does not run through. So you can technically get across the Darien Gap by car in an all-terrain vehicle. Some people have even attempted it on foot. However, this is not considered to be very safe or recommended unless you're extremely well prepared. There are options to get around. There's a ferry that you can take from Panama to Colombia. You can fly internationally, etc. They have at times talked about constructing an official road, but there's a lot of concerns about the negative environmental impact that could have, since this is a protected kind of marsh wetland area. So thankfully for now, there are no active plans to construct there. So this is just kind of an interesting fact. A lot of people like to do the trip all the way down the Pan American Highway. And so just a heads up that the Darien Gap is a part of that journey that most people have to look for an alternative option. Muy bien. So now we are looking at our countries in South America. Muy bien. So I'm going to say the name of the country, and then we will look at the gentilicios for these countries. Okay? We've kind of spent a lot of time earlier on in Centro America. I was kind of warming you guys up. And so we're going to go a little bit quicker through this part of South America, Sur America. And remember that all of these are available to you on Quizlet, and there's an audio function so you can listen there as well. And we have some exercises in your workbook where you can continue to practice. All right, so let's look at our first country in Sur America, or América del Sur. Colombia. Colombia. Now remember, it's not Columbia, like Columbia University with a U. It's Colombia. Excelente. Y aquí viven los colombianos. One more time. Colombianos. Y colombianas. Colombianas. Excelente. Next up, we have Ecuador. Repeat after me once more. Ecuador. Aquí viven los ecuatorianos. One more time. Ecuatorianos. Y ecuatorianas. Ecuatorianas. Excelente. Next up is Peru. Note the accent mark on the U there at the end. Peru. Peru. En Perú viven los peruanos y peruanas. Or again, as a reminder, if you wanted to put this into inclusive language, you could say peruanes. So if you look here, you can see there is a U and an A together, but they are not pronounced as two separate syllables. We're not saying peruanes, right? Rather, they form what we call a diptongo or a diphthong or a gliding vowel. So the way that this is pronounced is that the two letters come together to make one sound. So one more time, listen closely and repeat after me. Peruano. Peruana. Next, we have the country of Bolivia. One more time. Bolivia. Fun fact, both Bolivia and Peru are home to Lago Titicaca, the highest navigable lake to large vessels in the entire world. So it sits at an altitude of over 12,500 feet. It's beautiful. I myself have only ever been to the Peruvian side, but it's an extremely gorgeous place, and there were some really amazing and interesting communities living there, and so I highly recommend adding it to your list. Okay, muy bien. In Bolivia, we have our bolivianos. One more time, bolivianos. And our bolivianas. Muy bien. Next, we have this thin, long country here known as Chile. One more time, Chile. Now, careful. It's not chili, like what you eat at the Super Bowl with an I at the end. It's Chile. Chileno. Chilenos. Chilena. Chilenas. Chilene. Chilenes. Excelente. Next to Chile, we have Argentina. Once again, Argentina. Con los argentinos y argentinas. One more time, we'll go through each one. Please repeat. Argentino. Argentinos. Argentina. Argentinas. Muy bien. Moving up from Argentina, on the eastern side of the continent, we have Uruguay. Repeat one more time. Uruguay. En Uruguay viven los uruguayos y uruguayas. And we'll go through each one, so please repeat. Uruguayo. Uruguayo. Uruguaya. Uruguaya. Uruguayos. Uruguayas. Excelente. Next to Uruguay, we have Paraguay. And in Paraguay, we have our Paraguayos and Paraguayas. So I'll read the singular and then the plural. Please repeat. Paraguayo. Paraguayos. Paraguaya. Paraguayas. Muy bien. So far you've seen Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So here we have this big, huge country over here, and this is called Brazil. One more time, Brazil. Note that we don't pronounce that hard Z like we have in English. It's pronounced like an S. Brazil. And in Brazil, we have our brasileños. Please repeat. Brasileños. And our brasileñas. Brasileñas. please note the official language of Brazil is Portuguese, not Spanish. Muy bien. Above Brazil, we have Venezuela. Repeat one more time. Venezuela. And here live the venezolanos. One more time. Venezolanos y venezolanas. Venezolanas. Excelente. And then there are three smaller nations above Brazil to the east of Venezuela that are right there on the coast. And so these countries are technically considered part of South America, but they're oftentimes left out of categories regarding Latin America because they are not Spanish-speaking or Portuguese-speaking countries, and they oftentimes get considered to be part of the Caribbean. And so we have Suriname, Guyana, and finally, Guayana Francesa. Muy bien, estudiantes. So now you've been introduced to Latin American geography and you've learned the proper pronunciation for the names of each gentilicio, so the people from each country. So please be sure to keep practicing with the Quizlet exercises as well as in your workbook, and to also head on over to Discord where you can upload an audio of yourself practicing. You can chat with other students. Maybe some of you have been to some of these countries. You can share your experiences with us. Eso sería genial. That would be amazing for us. And again, just never underestimate the power of proper pronunciation and geographical knowledge when it comes to showing locals that you are an informed and conscious traveler, that you're making an effort with the language, and to also understand at least basics of history, culture, and common words in the country that you're visiting. So that little extra effort is often very much appreciated and can go a long way. Muy bien. Now that we've gotten our instructional material out of the way, let's head over and join Maestra Chiva to bust some travel myths and misconceptions about our favorite region of the world, Latinoamérica. Gracias!